I want to talk about how our mind plays tricks on us using Dan to Dan as the prime example. Because I started watching this anime a couple weeks ago and it's been off the charts, and it's basically around like the occult, around spirits, around just like feelings of love and admiration and a little bit of jealousy as well too. And there's this main character, Okurun, I believe I said his name correctly, and Momo, which they both have like this different weird dynamic relationship. And in the episode prior, this new guy right here, he ended up coming into the frame, and it kind of got Okuran jealous. And then in lectures, and maybe you notice this in your life as well too, where like certain people will say certain words, and when you hear those certain words, all of a sudden those words will like be the exact words that you need to hear because you are the only one that's able to perceive those words that you have being told to you. If there's any sort of like weird dynamics that are coming into those words that are coming into your reality, maybe it's time to start looking at your perspective or your world in a different view and reframing it in a different way. I can go into that in different videos because I have, and I would love to be able to help you break through that, because I had a conversation just the other night in the gym where it's like, this dude's awkward and weird, he's a little strange, and to me I was like, oh, they're talking about me, but it's like nobody's ever really talking about me. Like, but that's what I would think because somebody had those thoughts saying it, and I thought it was directed towards me, but it's like, no, that's not me anymore. But our minds do these tricks where like they always seem to focus on the negative. And I was talking with the dude about this the other day, where it's just like whenever I've been making cold calls for this other like social media business that I'm starting up because I need to get some income coming in, and I still want to be able to continue to make these videos for you. So I have to keep thinking outside of the box and thinking in different ways. And I asked him, I was like, our minds always seem to focus on the negative aspects, because you can see this within like the anime as well too. Is like jealousy is an adjective which describes nouns, and like that was what he was he was being jealous of this relationship that they have, even though they're just friends. And like on the sales calls that I was having with the people on the line, like I was afraid to edit these videos because I was like, oh, this person's just going to be saying these negative things. It's going to be so like abrupt and so rude and so like challenging. And then I was like, well, where's that coming from in the first place? Like, why is that existing in my reality at all to begin with? Because then when I did go back and re-listen to those calls, like to edit the video, this is a really cool frame. When I did go back to re-edit the video, I was like, what is going on right now? Like, this is kind of crazy. Like, none of these conversations that I had were like anything that I thought or remembered them to be. This is why I'm a big proponent in like analyzing and recording everything that you have, so that then you can always go back and be like, oh, things weren't as bad as they were. Like, oh, wow, things were way worse than I ever imagined. But then like, for instance, back to the anime, for instance, you can be jealous of another's happiness. And it's just like, he keeps getting in his head of like, this is bugging me of like the relationship that they have. It's like it was her first crush, but it's like she never even said that at all. Like he's making this whole scenario up in his head of like what the relationship between these two of them are, when like you come to find out later of like, oh, they just ended up like picking on one another basically. And that's why like when she comes over, and this is a big proponent of what I end up doing as well too, but I'll touch on that here in a second. But like when he's coming over and like working out, and she comes over and he's just like, wait, hold on, what are you doing here? And he just was not expecting like her to come over in those regards. But this is what love is, in my opinion, is like just doing those things that you want to do just for the sake of doing them. But this is the other side point that I wanted to touch on, was basically, this is things that I myself have done. So like he's running through like all these different thoughts throughout his whole head, and he's saying all these like negative things. And this is what I'm like, I want you to realize your minds do this exact same thing. And if you can become aware of the thoughts that you're having within your own mind, you can start to become free and start to live a different life that you were living originally. Because like even the teacher says like, so beautiful and cool are objectives as well. And that's exactly the thoughts that Okuran was having of Miss Aya, Momo. I'll just say Momo. It's easier for me to say that. So like those are the thoughts that he was having of her. And this is something that you can look into like hypnosis, because like people are hypnotized to not be able to get up out of their chair. They're hypnotized to see things that aren't there. They're hypnotized to believe that people are like invisible. So it's like the mind is only ever going to hear and pick up on things that it picks up on. There's a called Alan Watts. He talks about this as well too. Is like just letting your ears hear what they need to hear, just letting your eyes read what they need to read, or letting your eyes see what they need to see, and like not judging it in whatever way it is. But it's like this is where Okuran goes into his head. It's like, if Miss Aya were to start dating him, will she stop being so kind to me? Will she stop like and thinking about all like the good times that they have shared together? I'm sure she'll be interested in his hobbies and lose interest in the occult. And then it's just like, just goes on to the next one. I won't be able to keep talking to her about the occult during recess anymore, and like having all these good stories. It's like maybe I won't be able to hang out with Miss Aya anymore. And these are just thoughts going on inside of his own head. Like he journaled them all on like the piece of paper, and it was just a very like it was a interesting way of just like thinking about this, and then he's like, you know what, screw this. Like, these are all just like negative thoughts, so I'm just gonna scratch it all out and just forget about all of it. And I like eating carry. I want to draw everything. I liked what he ended up writing in this notebook. Very high detailed. Credit to the animators on that aspect. But that's where he just like puts his head down on the dirt or on the newspaper, and he's just like, this sucks. Like, this is miserable. I've been there as well too, and that's why this is what I was touching on earlier, because he keeps like picturing this thing. And this is the thing that I want you to realize as well too, is like, if you keep picturing the same thing over and over and over again, that thing is going to eventually come true. So it's like, he's like, I'm no good. So what does he end up doing? He's like, screw this. You know what? Stop distracting yourself. Physical training is more important right now than such thoughts. And this is something that, like, I want to say, like, if you ever want to like overcome some negative thoughts, some negative beliefs, some negative like thought pattern that you have going on, I've had to do this multiple times myself. Of like when I would smoke weed or something like that, I've had like all these thoughts just come into my mind. I was like, this is terrible. This is excruciating. So I would go on a run, and then after that run, like all those thoughts, all those negative beliefs, everything that I ever had that was bogging me down just vanished out of thin air. So that's why I'm like, if you are ever having like a time where like you're having these negative thoughts, or like you're just going through like this constant back and forth of like, oh, what would this look like? How would this be? Like, oh, I'm going to lose. I'm going to be all sad. I'm going to have all these bad things. It's like, just move your body. Like, get the blood flowing. Like, get up, go for a run, go for a walk, go lift some weights, go have a conversation with somebody else. Get your mind off of whatever it is that you have going on right now, because then like the people that do truly love you, they will come to find you. They will come resonate with you. They will come stick with you. And that's why it's just like he gets so thrown off by that, because like he was just trying to distract himself from the thoughts of her, because like he does love her in the most amazing ways. And that's where she's just like, hey, with both of your hands being full, like, have you eaten yada yada yada? Did you eat lunch? Not yet. If both your hands are tied up, I'll feed you. And it's just like, that's a nice little like line right there. Like, that shows the care and the compassion. And he's just like freaking out a little bit of like, well, is that okay? And then the dude, he comes back into the scene and it's just like, hey, like, look at this, yada yada yada, says all these things. And he's just like, oh, you're friends. But like his face is just like, I don't like this. I don't want to have this jealousy. This is why being able to be secure in yourself and who you are as a person is one of the best things that you can ever do in your life. At least that's the things that I myself have come to. So it's just like, you can't be jealous of like such a cutie or anything like that, even though like he does like know how to like get to her, because like they've been friends for so much longer, but like they're just friends. Whereas like these two, they're more than friends. Like you just know that for a fact. At least I do. I'm hoping you do as well too. But like his mind, he keeps running through these different scenarios as soon as he sees this. And I've been in this exact same place as well too. There's this girl at the gym that I used to talk with all the time. Different girl from other people that have been here for a while. So it's a different one during COVID. Her and I, we ended up like getting along very well, but she was always like talking with all these other dudes, and I kind of get a little jealous. I was like, well, fuck this, like screw this, like I don't want to be a part of this. And it just made me feel like demoralized, and like it just didn't work out for me. So I was like, I need to change up my approach, and I need to look at things in a different way and be like, you know what, I'm actually the prize. Like, she's missing out on what a life with me could be like. So it's not me missing out on what a life with her could be like, it's me missing out on a life of what it could be like if she was with me. And so the little subtle different like reframe that I have been doing lately, and one of my buddies helped me out with it, and I wanted to share that with you as well too. So it's just like, he can't watch Miss Aya amicably talk with the guy any longer, so it's like, I'll try not to see her anymore. This will be the best move for myself and Miss Aya, I can never say her name. I'm not going to give up. And then that's when this dude comes in, and then it's just like, he even says that, it's like, oh, I'm not going to give up. Like, he's not going to give up. They just keep running. She's asking for him to get out of his way, because if you find out later in the episode at the end, like he's trying to find like his love of his life basically. And that's why like I liked how everything is just so like it's so synchronistic with the things that are saying, because as soon as he says like, I'm going to try not to see her anymore, that will be the best move for myself and for her. And then that's when like the other dude you hear is like, I'm not going to give up. He says that, not him. It's just like, that's a synchronistic event that ends up happening in our entire lives, especially when you believe in like the occult, you believe in mysticism, you believe in all these amazing things that do exist out there in the world. And that's why it's just like, homeboy doesn't know that her true power, so she tries to save him, get in the way, and it's just like, well, hold on, that's not right. So she grabs him, he ends up having to go run and save her, like do all these other things to be able to find like what is going on. And just like the animation, like this dude's, he's trying to like protect like Miss Aya, but it's just like, that's not what ends up happening, because like he's more powerful than like he is right now. So it's just, it's a whole different dynamic. And that's why she's like, dude, the transformation between all this stuff is always so cool. Like even the animation in here too is like, it's pretty sweet. Like when the homeboy breaks down like into like all the individual components and parts, It's just like, oh, that was pretty neat. But like they just keep running, finding out what's going on together, the things that are happening. She found out like she grabbed his heart. Oh, and this, see, dude, the symbolism in this anime, it's just, it's incredible. And you wouldn't pick up on this if you weren't as in tuned. And that's why I share these things, because I didn't even pick up on it at first either. And then when I look back, I'm like, oh, this is why. So like she ended up grabbing his heart because like that's what she's been doing with Okuran this whole time, is like she's just been holding his heart in her hand. Like he's given his heart to her, and yet it's been very painful. And that's why each time, like whenever she would like squeeze it, and you'd hear like the other guy like moan or yell, like when she does this right here and she hits the heart, like, and you hear him, like that's what ends up happening, because like that's what she has been doing with him. At least that's the perception that he has, is like she's just pulling and playing with his heart, when in actuality she is wanting him to like have this same effect, and they're wanting to like love each other together. Because that's what I liked about like this next scene, like this last little bit, which I'm gonna mute this just so that we don't get any copyright stuff. But like homeboy's trying to like find the love of his life, and it's like, I finally found you. And that's like, why did you come here? Why did you put yourself through such danger? And it's like, because I love you. And then like if you see like this scene right here, because I love you, and then it instantly goes back to these two together. Like it doesn't, like, yeah, you have the dude in the back, but like if you can see like these two are closer together, so like clearly the love is more for them. And then you see like homeboy's not in the photo anymore, but it's just these two of them like looking at this, and it's like everything changed after I met you. And you see the camera just pan over to Okuran, and that's where it's just like, my world used to be gray, but thanks to you. And it goes back to his memory, because everything is just in your own mind, it's on in happening in your own head. And it's like became so colorful when she ended up coming in, and it's just like, we can't do this, whatever it may be, too far apart, yada yada yada, making up all of these excuses, whatever it is, please hurry back, otherwise you'll turn. And he's like, I don't care, like you're the one I fell in love with, I won't let you go no matter what, let's run away together. If I don't do anything right now here, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And that's why it's just like, you see his body posture change, and it's just like he gets tall, like he grows like 4 inches. Like most of the time people are walking through life like this with their shoulders hunched over, just like not being able to make it through. But then like you start standing up tall, and then all of a sudden your life starts to change. You have that determination, that resolve within your own eyes, and like everything just magically happens from there. Like things just change when you decide to make the change, because change happens in an instant. It doesn't happen in years, it happens in an instant with you making the decision to do the thing that you want to do. But like that's why like whenever he hears a thought, then he goes into his head, because the ideas and the connections are only ever going to be related to your own perception of the world, because the reality does not exist outside of you. It only exists within you, and it's your perception that truly does matter and creates your own reality. So if these are things that interest you, you can always subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.